Welcome back to Lemmings! It's time to continue the tricky difficulty. This is where things are going to start showing a little bit more bite, especially in the logistic department, because how in the hell this house can have an attic full of acid? I'm gonna ask myself this question until the end of time. In the PC version, a lot of the levels in the game did not have water on them for some reason, and for this one level it kinda makes a little bit more sense because holy shit, I cannot figure out this one. So this level is yet another one of these long staircases level, although you have this arrow in the ceiling that gives you an indication as to where you should start building your bridge in order to get to where you need to go. It's a pretty lengthy process. The main difference here is that you have to dig a hole into your bridge because otherwise your bridge is gonna get tall enough so that at one point your lemmings are just gonna start splatting on the floor. Yeah, if your lemmings were falling off from there, they will die. And considering you can only afford 8 casualties, we're not gonna see that happen. And forget about setting blockers on the floor, because then you're gonna have to build over them anyway, so digging up a hole into the bridge is the easiest way to go. Honestly, this level is a whole lot like a ladder will be handy. The only difference is that you're using a different method in order to hold up your lemmings and keep them in safety while you prepare the path ahead. And did I talk about the acid in the house? Okay, I'm gonna stop because holy shit, I cannot stop thinking about that. But yeah, that was a long as hell staircase. I mean, it almost took us something like 3 minutes in order to build it. So now, it's time to be bitter. You're gonna be so bitter whenever you'll realize that the opening hatch door or whatever is way too high, so your lemmings are just gonna die upon entering the level. So you have 2 options here. You can either assign your lemmings, not blockers, but floaters, in order to make them arrive to safety. You could do this for every lemming, because hey, there's 50 lemmings in the level, so you have 50 floaters. But if you want to diminish the number of clicks that you spend in order to make this level work, well, you just build a spiral staircase until the lemmings stop dying upon entering the level. And now I'm pretty much going to destroy all of everything that I built up in order to reduce the amount of click, because I'm just gonna do the really dumb method of solving this level, which involves you giving floaters and climbers to every lemming. Yep, that's the bare bones approach, but paradoxically enough, it's the one that's gonna require a hell of a lot more work in order to make it happen. So why am I doing it? I honestly don't know. Maybe I'm trying to prove something in the ilk of when the solution appears to be really simple, that doesn't mean that it's gonna be too simple to execute or void of any tedium whatsoever. I mean, just look at these huge piles of lemmings. Somehow I managed to set up my release rate so that all of the lemmings will just end up into these concentrated piles. So, yeah, we're just gonna make them climb all the way up until the cows go home. Wait, is that how the proverb goes? I honestly have no clue. So other approaches for this level involve building bridges at the bottom section of the level where you can see the little pillars. Honestly, this is probably the way I should have picked, but I could not resist taking this really backward route because it's so dumb to do. Yeah, that level was no problem to us. We could have saved everyone if I didn't showcase that the beginning drop of the level was deadly, and if I bothered giving a floater to that one other lemming that I just left go through the cracks. So level 13, lemming drops. This is definitely a level. Honestly, I think in all of the game, and I mean all of the levels that give you a shitload of every skills, just like this one, this may be the hardest level of the game, because, well, you have a shitload of skills, but, oops, I completely forgot to give this guy a floater, so, alright, let's hope that I'm not gonna lose too many lemmings by blowing up the bridge. Oh, never mind, the bridge didn't blow up somehow. Not too sure how it happened, but it's fine. But yeah, the challenge in this one level is just figuring out where to go, because, yeah, you're gonna have to use a lot of builders in order to prevail, but Yeah, the way forward is not necessarily the most straightforward, because if you just decide to take the straightforward path, you're probably gonna make this level a living hell. I remember the first time I played this level ever, and it was a really sorry sight. I remember like trying to build all the way over the first pillar where you start the level. And yeah, this is what we're gonna do here. We're building a staircase here in order to get all of our lemmings. That's the easiest way to prevail through this level. You send one lemming over the starting pillar, and then you build here. This is how we're gonna catch everybody whenever the time will come. And with our climber, we're just going to keep doing all of the work that we started with. But yeah, we've definitely seen a whole lot of different solutions here. There are people, for instance, who are going to build all the way to the left and then somehow dig and build their way through the staircases and everything. Yeah, it's really messy, completely not recommended in the slightest, because wow, why would you do that? That seems like such a pain in the ass to make this work. This solution here is the easiest to execute, and this is probably the one that you should take all of the time. Only do otherwise if you fancy having a challenge. And once again, the top path is the easiest one, because if you go at the bottom, there's not a very clear ramp leading to the exit, so you might have to take some detours. So, what's next for level 14? Yep, welcome to cross-promotion level, MENACING! So yeah, this level is a very interesting scenery that we have going here. This is the second cross-promotion level of the game, and this time it's about the game MENACING, which was made by DMA Design, and it was released for the Amiga in 1988. And it was a shmup, a good old-fashioned shmup, except that your ship just ended up flying through completely nightmarish locals. There's all of these ants, skulls, and snakes all over the place. And there's this heavy metal music which is playing in the background alongside with the completely sweet xylophone and even the weapon pickups. This remix of the song is pretty close to what the song sounded like onto the Amiga, except here I think the sound is a little bit more fuller, I think, because they had a little bit more sound channels to work with, because in the actual game, no, go back here, just because I tried to build so close to the edge in order to save builders, I ended up wasting 2 instead, because I ended up hitting the tentacle, or the edge of it. But yeah, since MENACING is a shmup and everything, whenever you will just shoot all of the time, it will constantly take over the sound channels, and therefore it will keep cutting the music all of the time, so the music unfortunately had no choice to be less complicated, so yeah, this version has a little more funky arrangements going on with it, especially in the final parts. Thank you, Monotone Announcer. We really appreciated your input. So yeah, in the meantime, this level is done. There's unfortunately not a whole lot to it. It honestly feels easier than a beast of a level in some way. I mean, the level feels a little bit less long, and finally it's a whole lot more straightforward. You don't have to build like a spiral staircase or bash through a million of trees or whatever. I think it's just a little longer because of the longer path you have to make, but yeah, in overall the cross-promotion levels are usually very easy. Alright, so welcome to our first official revisit of the game. This is where things start getting interesting. Yep, it's our first good old tutorial level, but look at that, we don't have any diggers. Now this time, we have to assign bombers in order to make our way down. To avoid your lemmings detonating at a premature location, you have to assign each subsequent bomber a little after the first one. It's like maybe 2 or 3 pixels away. Also, you must pay close attention, because you have 5 bombers, but you have 10 lemmings and you must rescue 6. If you use all of them, you fail the level, because you're gonna miss 1 lemming in order to win. Sneaky, sneaky. Yep, back in the time, we used to bash through all of these fences, landscape and everything, but this time we only have 1 basher and 1 miner. alongside a shitload of bombers. So this is where we're gonna slowly start to think a little bit differently. Instead of bashing through everything, yeah, you just get a head start with your digger or miner, and then you're able to bash through everything all at once. It's gonna be a lengthy process, but it'll work eventually. So the last remaining part of the level is using your bombers in order to make your way through the wireframe structure, and this is where things might get a little bit complicated because you have to master the way of using all of your bombers. So the rules that you use in level 15 are pretty much the same. You pick a spot where you detonate your lemmings and then you work from there. You're just going to detonate them a little bit further each time so that you're gonna end up making a steady line, because otherwise they're just gonna detonate way too fast and you're probably just going to eventually make a road all the way down to the bottom of the level in a bottomless pit. Yep, we're slowly hedging up, and that's the way forward in order to get to the end. While into the previous level, we needed to bash at the base of the structure. No, you don't do this here. You have to take the shortest path because you don't have enough bombers otherwise. At least for this one level, you have a pretty generous margin for error here, because we still had 4 bombers, and unlike the previous level, we were allowed to use them in order to win, because you can afford all 10 losses. Oh yeah, it's this level again. You have to rescue 48 out of 50 lemmings. Guess what the 2 skills you'll have will be? 2 bombers! Oh my god, I'm really shocked. This level, however, kind of feels unnecessary after the other 2 levels, which were all about precise detonation and everything. I guess this is your final exam or something, but this level is much more boring in comparison, because it's just about making one explosion right, and you only have one chance to pull it off. If you fail, you have to restart, and this is a level that literally takes only 1 minute whenever you pull it off. It's kind of pointless, honestly. Oh, it's Lemmingentry, Watson. I mean, all you have to do here is to assign... Oh, okay. I was gonna say you just have to assign 10 floaters or 9 floaters, but you only have 1 here. A very strict set of skills for this one level, so yep, it's time to start thinking about alternate strategies. This digger here will be the key in order to get all the way to the bottom of this in safety. And since one lemming is gonna walk over the hole, you must assign him a floater, because otherwise he's gonna die. And whenever your digger starts being closely down enough and everything, it's time to blow him up and free the way to the end. Except that sometimes, yeah, you don't really have a huge margin of error here for where you place your digger. It has to be as close to the edge of the pillar as possible, while still remaining inside of it, because otherwise your lemmings are just gonna fall off the pillar to their doom. But if you do it this way, then yeah, they're just gonna die either way, so you still lose, just because they're not gonna be able to get freed from the pillar. Here, I'm pretty sure I'm too close now. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm 1 pixel where I needed to be. That was kind of a streak of luck here. I suppose that if you were standing like at the complete midst of the pillar and you were too far away to detonate the digger and free the way, you probably could assign the bomber to another lemming and hope it'll detonate whenever it'll be on the rightmost portion of the wall, but it's pretty risky. Alright, level 19, Postcard from Lemmingland. Welcome to the level where for a whole lot of Lemmings player, this is where the game ends, because that's the first truly difficult and weird level of the game. This is where you truly have to start thinking outside of the box, because you have to build 2 bridges in order to get to the exit, but you only have 1 builder this time, so how are we going to get through this? There are 2 ways in order to proceed in order to beat this level, but I'm gonna go with this one because, once again, it's the most straightforward and it's usually the one which is the most foolproof. We have to send 1 lemming over here, but don't build over there because it turns out that you need a builder for a totally different reason. Remember how come whenever you build, you just end up turning directions and everything? That's what you have to do here. You just dig a tiny hole here so that you can turn your lemming around because there's no way to do it otherwise. And then we start mining down, and yeah, you know, the rest of the floor on the left is something that you can totally bash through, by the way. So yep, instead of building 2 bridges, we're gonna dig 1 long tunnel in order to get to the end. And that's how we prevail the easy way. With that said, however, if you played the Genesis version of the game for some unknown reason, this solution will not work because this version of the game could not handle the lengthy levels of the original versions of the game, so the ending stretch where the exit platform is a whole lot smaller, and therefore you cannot do that. Oh, also, by the way, you have to give this lemming a floater, because otherwise he's gonna climb all the way up here, he will fall down to his doom and splat. And you have to save everyone, so nobody can be left behind. And there we go, we finally solved our first major riddle of the game. If you finally manage to beat this level, then you're finally on your way to being a Lemmings master. And as a reward, you just get this level. Yeah, remember all of the tension that level 19 has built? How come this was the first truly difficult level of the game? Well, in order to counterbalance, here's level 20, which is completely pointlessly easy instead. This is a level that could have been put in the early portion of fun, considering how really simple it is. I mean, it's pretty much just a redo of level 11, Keep Your Hair on Mr. Lemming, except now it's in a hell landscape and you have to bash through 1 pillar in addition to that. But other than that, it's exactly the same. You can just send 2 builders over, 2 climbers over the wall, and then have a blocker and everything, but I don't feel like using 2 blockers, so since we're starting to use this tactic, we might as well use it a little bit more just in order to save more lemmings. And yeah, that's all that there is to this one level. Honestly, why? Even if this level was in the early portion of Tricky, it still would have been too easy for the difficulty level, so why put this at level 20? This level is just... I'm really not sure. I think it was just intended to be a relief level, because otherwise I'm not too sure why it's here. Yeah, that level seemed no problem to you, and I'm pretty sure that if you tried hard enough, you probably will be able to save 100%, because the hard way is in order to deal away with that 1 blocker at the beginning. Oh boy, okay, with that said, however, this game truly is going to hell, but we're going to start going into hell in the next video, where we're going to finish the tricky difficulty. So, see you folks!